Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new year. This is our first stream back from the new year, so it's glad to see you all. My name is Jay. I'm the DevRel specialist for ChainSafe Gaming. For anyone who's not familiar with ChainSafe, we're a research and development firm focused on blockchain protocols. We are core contributors to Ethereum, Polkadot, Filecoin, and many more that are out there. We do custom auditing, custom developments, and we can help you with all your Web3 needs. So if you have an idea you haven't seen out there, reach out to us and we can help you. Today, I'll be having a talk and interview with Charlie. Charlie is the co-founder of Farcade. Sorry, it's an arcade that's built directly into Telegram and chat apps, and it's touching on a new meta that I anticipate will be coming up for a lot of other game studios. So, with that said, let's bring Charlie up to stage. Hello, Charlie.
What's up, Jay? How's it going, man?
Pretty well. I'm having a great day and a great week. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Likewise, it's been busy, but it's been really fun. I've gotten to talk to a lot of people. Most of the time I'm just coding, but I've had a lot of meetings. So it's been nice to nice to get out of the shell a little bit and have some conversations.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot happening from your Twitch and all the demos of games that are coming, hyper casual ones, people competing for leaderboards. I tried it out myself. I was disappointed I couldn't continue because I ran out of tickets just instantly. But it's been a super fun experience, and it's great to watch you grow.
No, thank you. Yeah, the tickets is the hot topic issue right now. It's been kind of fun to have them because I feel like I have this thing that everybody wants, and so I got to wield that as a hammer when just a fun little thing to give away.
Nice, nice. So we'll definitely get into the whole ticketing system. I'm curious about game design and what made you take that approach. But so our viewers can get a chance to know you about your journey and your experience. Can you tell us about what inspired Farcade? And when I started looking into your profile, I learned about Farworld and the game that you built. So how'd you go from Farworld to Farcade? And tell us about that journey.
Yeah, I mean it's been a really interesting journey. So this time last year, we decided to shut down our last business. And can you hear me okay, Jay? Is my internet okay?
No, yeah, I hear you perfectly clear.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure. So yeah, we ended up shutting down our last company. We being my brother, who's my co-founder, Blackstock, and one other engineer. It's just three of us. We ended up shutting down our last business last year, and so at the end of that, I was looking for something to do, kind of having an identity crisis of what's next on the life track. And at that time, one of our friends was very into Farcaster, and Farcaster was launching this new technology called Frames. And Frames was a way to build basically a mini app into social media feeds. And when my brother and I saw that, we're like, this could be like really game changing, and also just be like a really great way to like build a game. And so we just honestly were thinking about ideas of like cool things to build, and the two ideas we had were Farworld and Farcade, and we ended up building Farworld first, which is very much like a Pokemon creature collection game but built into a social media feed or a social media platform. And so that was really fun, and it ended up just like exploding overnight. Like we've sold out like 8 straight NFT collections. Everybody was obsessed with it. It was like the #1 game on Farcaster, and it just was doing extremely well. But the thing that was exciting is it basically like proved this model we thought was happening, which was like building into these consumer apps or building into apps where people spend a lot of time and like meeting users where they are. So by building a game into a social media feed where people can just play within a feed or play with inside Telegram, really felt like this was going to be this new meta. And then, yeah, right at that same time, like Hamster Combat came out, all the Telegram apps started getting very big. So like the meta was starting to like unfold in front of us. And so, yeah, so we ended up doing Farworld, which is still going today. It still has thousands of players. It's still like a very fun, like I'd say like on-chain competitive Pokemon like creature collection game. So it should feel very familiar if you're into that IP. That's something we're going to continue to keep building on the side. It's something that we love. It's like we've put our heart and soul into that, and it's like launched our business, and so something that we feel very grateful for. But the big idea was always the Farcade. The Farcade was much more of like a platform vision, really trying to like capture the tailwinds of things that we think are really cool, which is like the mini apps boom, the AI boom, and then like the on-chain monetization stuff that's going on with blockchain technology. So the Farcade was really something that we just feel like we saw this opportunity and we see what's happening with AI, which is everybody is becoming a developer. If you don't think you can build a game, you can build a game. Like I'm telling you, you could launch a game in Farcade tomorrow with zero coding experience. Like you can build games and launch games. And so when we think about this, the next big thing that we think about is if everyone is now building games, we're going to have an incredible supply side and a really big demand side of distribution need, where it's like if everybody has a game, the next thing we need to solve for is distribution. And that's what Arcade is meant to be. It's meant to be the best distribution discovery platform for gamers and game developers.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of super interesting things to me. The first thing is like distribution, because I know from working with games in my experience, they're running into a lot of issues distributing through like Apple, through Google Play, because
Yeah.
those stores don't do well with NFTs. They're not really a fan of it. They don't want these technologies incorporated. So in this sort of way, you're kind of going around there and saying, all right, there's another way to distribute to all these people. There's tons of people here on Telegram, on these chat apps. Let's take advantage of that. And it's proving successful.
Yeah, it's again, it's we have no time. Like no one has any time anymore. We all have our apps. We have too many opportunities, and we're just very busy. Like everybody is up to their eyeballs busy, and so in that world, like what can you do to get attention for something you're excited to build and share? And to me, that is just you have to reduce friction points. You have to try to meet people in their daily life, and so capturing people scrolling a social media feed or in their chat app with Telegram. Like that's where you have to start building. That's where you have to start thinking this is going. And I think we're seeing this hyper run of like what happened in web 2, but we're doing it in web 3. And like hopefully things stay open this time, where I'll draw the parallel with like Zynga, where Zynga became, one of the biggest games in the world, but then Facebook lifted the drawbridges. It turned into a walled garden. Everyone started like closing themselves off. But like, what if that never happened? What if Zynga could keep building and like keep growing and like everything stayed open? And that's like what I feel like is happening again. And so people who are taking advantage of that and products that are taking advantage of like these open systems and open feeds and building into these products, they're going to tap into these giant distribution models. We've grown to 250,000 users in 3 weeks with $0 of marketing, just purely fun, engaging content, but tapping into like what these platforms are very good at, which is just delivering experiences right to where users are.
Yeah, that growth is absolutely insane. But I do want to give you credit for being present and vocal within the space. I know I met you at a kind of Web3 event. You also participate in like meetups on Fridays. So that
Yeah.
definitely has to have a role in it.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah. I mean, I think I've been very vocal the last year, because our last company, distribution was our Achilles heel. We couldn't get anyone to use our app, and so when that started happening, when we started building this new company, I was like, we need to find a way to like get over that hurdle. And a lot of our growth has been the work that I've been putting in the last couple of years. I don't want to call it work, because it's a lot of times just like meeting cool people. Like you and I just got to hang out. It was in Bangkok, right?
Yeah, I met you at
Yeah.
like a rooftop event in Bangkok, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely insane now that I think about it, because I live maybe 20, 30 blocks from you. I know we're like somewhere within the area of each other, but we happen to meet in Bangkok in a completely different place all around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to call it work. I've been more. I'm the Farcade is seeing a lot of benefit to the fact that like I'm being much more public. I'm going out to meeting people. I'm going to events. I'm building those relationships, and those relationships do pay off when you're trying to build a product.
Yes, definitely. And you touched on another concept. I want to get a bit of a deeper understanding. So, with the example you gave with Zynga, Facebook's in control of the situation. They decide they no longer want to do this. Zynga's is kind of gone. But now, what we often talk about within our space is decentralization. That creators, players themselves, they are maintaining their own data, giving access to these other organizations, but they are ultimately in control. So when I am playing, let's say Farcade, whether I'm using Telegram or another distribution platform, is my game state saved across those platforms? And is there a place where I can access this outside of Telegram? Let's say Telegram bans it one day. Can I still access my game and my data?
100%. Yes. I think we're the first team to do it, and something I'm very excited about is like bridging these ecosystems. So you can be playing like I play on Telegram and I play with all my friends on Warpcast and I play with my friends who are on World App. We just launched on World App, so like you can be playing games across all these different apps, and you're playing with the same social graph, the same users. If any one of those apps shut down, you'd be able to use any one of the other ones. We're building our own standalone app, so like ideally, that's another like fail safe of like places you could go play. Um, so yeah, I mean, so uh, yeah, we want everything to be interoperable. We want to put everything as on chain and distributed as possible because like you and like I think every other gamer in the world, like it sucks starting from zero all the time. We want to keep our achievements. We want to keep our social graph. We don't have to create an account and connect all of our stuff. Like just I want it just to come with me. Just like I want my friends, I want my guilds. And so hopefully with like the Farcade at least, like we can start building onto that where it's like you're never creating an account. And that's something I'm very proud about with the Farcade is it's one click to play and you don't have to create an account because we're tapped into these ecosystems. So it's a really great discovery and distribution and onboarding. Like it makes it very fun to onboard because you don't have to do any of the pain of like what you normally have to do.
Yes, definitely. I think you touched on two major things for game studios that are exploring the space. Maybe they're running into other challenges. So one is distribution. Is now you have completely different distribution offerings, right? You can go to these Telegram apps, you can go to these chat apps, and meet people where they're at, and maybe avoid this 30% in Apple, Google,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And then the other one is having full ownership and control of your game. As if you're using a platform for distribution, that is not the end all be all. If that closes today, you still maintain your users, their social graphs, and all
Mhm.
of their data. So I think that's super important, especially for Web2 studios that are like looking into this. They don't really know what's the benefits or added value. I think you highlighted that pretty well.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to be building a platform that has like distribution safety. Like we're not coupled to any one of those ecosystems. We're just trying to benefit from what I think they do really well, which is just meeting the users where they are, which I'll keep saying because I think it's so important, and especially like if you're a gamer or a game studio, like I highly encourage you to check out the Farcade and see what we're doing because like we want a bunch of game studios building inside here. That's like the next big thing is we're opening it up. Like we've launched all of our games mostly as like a proof point to like what this technology is and what we can do. And but the end vision is to let everybody do this, and not just game studios, but individuals. Like if anyone can build games with AI, which is like a maybe we're going to be talking about here in a minute, but um, I'm just very bullish on what will happen when any game developer, any person can build games and they don't have to worry about distribution because we handle all of that. So I think there's going to be a very exciting future for builders.
Definitely keep me in the loop. I'd love to learn more about it. Maybe test out my own game just to see.
Yeah. I want to see what you make.
Awesome. Now, when I think about technologies, I look at it as like the infrastructure we build ultimately leads to the type of experiences because of the limitations within the infrastructure and stuff like that. But now you're building a game starting with a chat app. So that's a completely unique perspective of people building the game, gathering a community around there, then giving them maybe localized chat, which changes the game experience and the conversations they're having. But here you're starting with a chat app, you're building games on top of the chat app, so, what does that technology maybe enable you, or what are the situations it's creating that's unique to this gaming experience versus some other gaming experience? Like I'm just buying a game, downloading it.
Yeah, I mean, the big things that you get is, I mean, the biggest one you get is the access to user data and social graphs. Telegram, you don't really get access to social graphs. You get access to it indirectly because you allows you to share very quickly. So it's like a very powerful thing where um, I like with Telegram, it's like a one tap share with all of your friends. And I like that stuff is so hard to build. Like I just wish people understood like how like when you have to start from square one, like a lot of building is just everyone's rebuilding those first 10 blocks over and over and over again. We're all rebuilding authentication and connecting wallets and connecting your accounts and finding friends. But when you build on top of a chat app or you build on top of Farcaster, you get to start at block 20. You get to start at like you get to all have all these Legos already built out for you. And it's such a relief for me as a builder because like that stuff is where the value is. The value is in like, the 20 plus thing that you're building, not is my authentication awesome? So that's like, I think what's really amazing about these apps is how quickly they can be shared when you're built on top of ecosystems like this. It's such a low effort for you, Jay, to like invite someone. It's just here, click one button, message on Telegram, and then they have to click a single button and are already playing. You just can't match that in Web 2 world, or if you're just going to start from square one all the time.
Yeah, so it definitely gives you a lot of access to data, these things that are pre-built already. I'm curious because the first thing I thought of is chat apps, group chats. Are there games being made on Farcade for group chats and for us to like either compete or battle? I'm not sure how extensive it is, but is that an option there?
Soon. Soon. Yeah, you're predicting some of the roadmap, but yes, that will happen.
All right, we can talk about that at another time. We'll call you
Yeah.
back. But there is something that if you're exploring Farcade, if you're poking around the way I was, you'll notice that it says something about building games with AI. Um, can you go into a bit of that? And then you've touched on it here a little bit, where it's going to be super simple for people who don't know anything about code to build their games. How does that actually work?
It, it's awesome. Like I wish I could take credit for it, because I wish I was those wrinkle brain guys at OpenAI building these languages. But the Farcade just has taken advantage of this tailwind I talked about earlier, which is the AI evolution that we're in. And well, our AI studio is how we build all the games. And so all of our games are built just using AI prompts. And so a lot of our games start with, like even like 2048, like a lot of these games start with, I want a game that's a 2048 like that has this style. And, when I slide around, the numbers add together, and like, that's it. Like and you'd be amazed at how far the studio gets in just a single prompt. Like if you make a well-known game, like if you wanted to recreate like Tetris, for example, it will get very close in just a single prompt. Like just one prompt, you'll have like almost a working game. And so that's what we're really excited about. The studio is going to be opening, and like we want everyone to experience like the joy and fun of what it is to make a game. And the funnest part about making a game is when people get to play it. And so that's what we're trying to solve for, is really just getting people to come in and make games. I see Robin Cash in the chat. Yeah, you've been all over Twitter and Telegram. It's good to see you, man. But yeah, no, I'm excited to have everyone start opening it up. I think these chat apps and these AI tools, um, they 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 just require a lot of polish. There's just like a lot of, you get to the edge cases very quickly, so it takes a little bit more time than we would have liked. But yeah, we're getting there. So hopefully everyone's going to be making their own games soon.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. Hey, Roman, I see the comment there. Yeah, Um, yeah, it's mind blowing. I've been playing around with Claude a lot. I've given it access to my computer, my GitHub. I've been testing out like it coding things on its own, and it's
Yeah.
like absolutely mind blowing. I taken an ambitious project, seeing how fast I can do it with just Claude coding everything. So I definitely see what you're talking about. It's already happening, and I'm curious. So I go into this tool, I feed it a prompt, it breaks out a game. Am I doing testing there? Am I just clicking deploy once
Yes.
it's perfected? Like, what is that kind of middle part of the process look like?
Yes. So it's basically like an entire suite that you would want as someone building and launching a game with AI. So it has the interface to build the game. It has the preview for playing and testing the game. It has things like an asset marketplace for creating assets and uploading stuff. It has the analytics. It has like, it just has like the stuff you want. Like if you were going to launch a game, like I want to see all the stuff I need to build it. Then I want things like the monetization. I want to add things like achievements. Like we have a really robust achievements page and infrastructure that's getting built out. So like you can add achievements for points and all those things. And then monetization. Monetization is such a crucial pillar that we're working on. Like distribution is one half, and then monetization is the other half. That's the thing that we're really excited about. Is they need they both need to coexist, and it's something that we really want to solve for people building and creating games. Is we want someone who launches a game not only to have thousands of players in their first right when they launch, I want them to be making thousands of dollars. And I truly believe we'll have game developers on the Farcade making millions of dollars over the next year.
That would be absolutely insane, especially if it does start off with an AI prompt and you're like, I just talk to this machine and it's making me millions of dollars. That's like a completely insane world.
Yeah, it's happening.
Awesome. I'm definitely excited to test it out when it's available. Please give me a whitelist or something. I am super curious to see how that works out.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. I'll get you in the studio.
Nice. Now, one of the other features I noticed while I was poking around was that you mentioned something about players owning a piece of games. How does that feature work? What does that mean for gamers and the publishers, the developers themselves?
The so I can't talk too much about that yet. Unfortunately, that's still pretty private because there's a lot of details being worked out. But the big part to know is we're very all the monetization features are all heavily incentivized to reward and kick back people creating and building games, and we want consumers to be able to partake in the game success. And so we're looking at a lot of different avenues for doing that. But basically, we're not only allowing game studios to start monetizing, but we want consumers to be able to back and support game studios. So Jay, if you launched a game and you had a community, we want people to be able to support you financially, but then also share in the upside. If your game becomes the most profitable game on the Farcade, you should be making a ton of money, and so should the people who support you. So that's about as specific as I can get, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And if I go anywhere I'm not supposed to, then definitely
No,
feel
no,
free to
no,
stop.
no. That's fine. All this stuff, I really wish I could talk about it, and I want to take Ramen's money. I see him saying, "Take my money," but I don't want his money. I want the builders to have his money. Like, and I want him. Like, that's just like where we want to live. Like, anybody who knows me or my co-founder, my brother, like, we are not like greedy people. Like, we care much more about building a very valuable product that people love and rewarding the people that are there. Like, we really want to reward and incentivize great games being built and reward the people that are making that happen. So that's what we're really excited about. And I think like there's just a tremendous flywheel that can get started if you can pull it off, which we really believe we're going to do.
I definitely like the vision, and I've had this idea too of rewarding people for their contributions. And I think back to like how social media, sometimes the entertaining people are the people commenting. They're not the ones creating the like actual content themselves, but they're creating a community. And in gaming specifically, you have people even like Roblox, they're creating their own mini games, they're creating experiences, but they're not necessarily getting rewarded in a lot of cases. So it's good to see that you're like anticipating this and want to reward the players as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's just very aligned with like the first company that I built was like a content creator platform where we were just trying to help all these content creators create better monetization because we worked with people that have like thousands of followers and were these huge Twitch stars, and this was like 2019, and they still had like part-time job to pay the bills. I was like, you guys, this is crazy. Like, you guys need to be monetizing better. Like, you guys have more viewers in like daytime television, and those are like fully staffed like TV productions, and you're just like a kid who needs a part-time job, and you're way more influential than these people. So like, it's something that we've always cared about is like we want to monetize a platform as a means to an end, which is the means is to continue to grow the business and grow the product and build a sustainable network. But the biggest end is rewarding people who've built the network. Like, if the people who are building the games, people who are creating all the value, like that's where we want the value to grow to. And we think it's just going to be a very, win-win situation for the builders, for the network, and for the consumers.
Yeah, definitely 100%. And now for the developer side, one thing I'm curious about, and I think the audience would be, is what does ownership really mean when I start to own, let's say, parts of a game or parts of like art? And the reason why I bring this up is because we're talking to a lot of artists that we're trying to bring into the space and trying to talk to them about NFTs, but they're like, hey, if I make an NFT, I give up all the rights to my IP. And that's not necessarily true, right?
Yeah,
IP rights don't stand. But what does it mean for someone to own part of someone's game? And what does that mean for the developer?
it's a great question. Again, sorry, this is kind of getting into that fringe area where I'll try and say, I'll speak vaguely about what I feel like it means without going into too much details. Um, to me, it's not so much about ownership as it is about like shared incentives. Like, it's more about community alignment and belief in a shared incentive. And so The token isn't so much I own a piece of your game, Jay. Jay, go make a better game so I can make more money. Like that sucks. Like that's what every NFT community is. That's what every fucking meme coin is. I'm so sorry I just cussed. I'm not sure that's allowed. Um, but my thing is more about community incentive alignment as ownership, as like community incentive alignment through tokens and owner and data and NFTs, as opposed to like equity ownership. Like the equity ownership isn't interesting to me. Like it's much more interesting to use shared incentives to align people.
Yeah, that's interesting because I think a lot of people think once I have ownership that there's some sort of inherent like shared incentives, but that's not necessarily true. My incentives could be kind of opposite of yours. You want to make a great game. I want to make money out of all of this, and that's where kind of issues arise. I just want to point out Ramin's comment. Imagine one-touch ad deployment with budget wallet for builders, so they can get exposure to their game on Google Ads, Farcaster X, etc. And it's kind of like touches on this idea of building these blocks that you can just click and deploy in your video game.
Yeah, you won't need all those. It's just one button on the Farcade, so you'll see. It's you'll have plenty of distribution with one button.
Nice, nice. I'm definitely interested in seeing that. So now, one of the, I guess, issues I ran into, and I touched on this earlier with playing the arcade, was I was playing it and I had a couple of tickets, right? So for anyone who hasn't experienced it, you have about 3 tickets you start off with. And in order for you to play the games, you use your ticket to play that game. So I tried like some tap stacking kind of game. I lost instantly, and within like maybe 20, 30 seconds, I was kind of out of the game. And I was like, wait, I want to play more games, but I couldn't play more games. So I'm curious about the design, the approach, and the whole ticketing system.
Oh, the tickets. The tickets have been my favorite thing I think I've ever built, because your experience I hear so much about, of like, I'm out of tickets, I need more tickets, let me buy tickets. And like there's something so enjoyable about that as a builder. Like that's like your dream as a builder, to build something that people like go to social media to ask you about. Like people are like literally pinging me and DMing me like send me tickets. And like it makes me so happy, because like it's the feedback I want. Like there's something I think very important about not having unlimited gameplay. Like I think there needs to be a cost to playing games. I think it makes the games more fun. Like I think knowing that you only have 3 tickets to get a high score, and maybe that high score gives you an achievement that gives you more tickets, that's exciting, that's fun, that's gaming. Free to play, I don't think is that interesting. And I don't think it's sustainable in modern economies. I don't think it's sustainable like these freemium models that existed with Clash of Clans and those types of models back in the day. I just don't think that's like how you garner attention anymore. And so the tickets is something that we're definitely going to keep exploring and expanding on. I think we'll start rewarding more tickets when you get to higher levels. We certainly are looking at ways to buy tickets and accrue tickets, but it's something that they're very deliberately very scarce, because I love the experience that you had. Your what you're describing is something that like is perfect to me. Like I want you to get to the end and be like, I'm that sucks. Like how do I get, like that's what I want you to feel. I don't want you to get there and you can play infinitely and then you're like, okay, that was kind of fun, I'll never come back. I want you to come back and be like, okay, I'm out of tickets. How do I get more tickets? When I get more, I'm going to go either invite friends to get more tickets, I onboard my community, or I know I need to get to like this score in this game, so I'm going to go pick my favorite game and try to get that score to get these tickets. So that's what we're going for. And bro, the tickets and FOMO, yeah, that's what Raman just said. So I am a huge fan of the experience you had, honestly. Like I think it's like what creates retention, it's what creates fun. Like I just think it's more fun to feel like you have this like huge pull to come back and like and get to keep playing.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun experience, and I think that's kind of like magical, where you can create a scenario to like deliver a specific experience to your user, where they have that moment, they're like, oh my god, like now what do I do, and like they start asking yourself. So I find that fascinating, and it's amazing that you were able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and I think I think we'll probably give the starting users a bit more tickets. I do think 3 tickets might be. Yeah, when you're playing Tower Blocks or Black Hole, there's some of these games that are over like that, and you're like, okay, maybe that was just a little too short on like I'm hooked now. So I definitely see that. It's just a hard balance because like if you played 2048 in GeoCrush, you probably played for 20 minutes at that point, But if you spend 3 tickets on, uh, yeah, again, Black Hole and Tower Blocks, you're done very quickly.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and it makes me think too of like this past weekend I started playing Marvel Rivals, and I probably spent like I don't know a total of like 12 hours so far, like playing
Yeah.
playing it hours back to back. And I'm pretty confident that like a week or two from now, I'll probably never play it again, which is touches on this exact thing that you're getting towards is that if you have infinite access, you're just going to burn through it and we're never going to see you again.
Yeah, and I think again, I think I'll just keep calling out Ramen here because he's saying some great things that I agree with. Like games don't need to be AAA. Like the Western, we have a really heavy Western bias, which is like we have a preference towards like AAA studios and AAA games. We love Call of Duty. We love off the grids. We like always, when we talk about like Web3 gaming, we always talk about like the grandiose titles. The majority of gaming is not those. The majority of gaming is mobile apps and Candy Crush and Tencent Gaming. Like those are the games that have billions of people playing. And I think it's just largely like I think like a very I don't want to say untapped, but I think there's just so much room to grow that market in like the Web3 and just like to explore it. I think a lot of these things are just cookie cutter repeats of things that were successful 10 years ago. And I think there's like entirely new paradigms to be built and explored. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for that. And I'm really excited to like continue on this like mobile hyper casual category. Like the Farcade to me is like, we win if you're in line at some restaurant waiting to get your food and you pull out your phone and play the Farcade. Like that's like where we want to be is like so many people have like these micro moments in their day where like you don't even realize you're doing it. You're like waiting at the microwave, you're making your coffee, and like you just pull out your phone and you're scrolling TikTok or doing something. Like I want that time to be Farcade time.
You just made me think of so many fascinating things. Like I just thought about if games are truly easy to deploy with an AI system that anyone could do it, you could have games unique to different like restaurants. Like you're waiting for your reservation or something like that, and there's like some cooking game. What was that game like? Overcooked, right? You have that version of that restaurant, and now you only have stats based on that restaurant in your gameplay that's like recorded on chain. That now you have like data and experience and access to that like other people don't unless they visited this restaurant.
Yeah, it's again, I feel like you might have secret access to our roadmap, but yeah. That's my belief. Like and that's again, like I said, games are going to be made as fast as you can possibly like imagine. Like games will be made so fast, and you need they're going to need better distribution and discovery, and that's like the real thing. I think that's like the real thing that we really want to solve. And I'll speak to something Raman just said, which is something that we're very focused on, which is hopefully not the pump.fun of games, and some filtering will be needed. Yeah, because I want to address that too, which is like pump.fun like showed what capturing attention and a lot of this like meme stuff was, and there's a lot of things that like I think about that we're doing feels very similar, but it is a lot about implementation, approach, and execution, which is Pump.fun. The game is trading. Like that's the game. The game isn't actual games like the Farcade. The game is PvP, trading, pump and dump. Like that is what it is. People can say it's community building, whatever it is. Like we all know that's bullshit. Like it's not what's happening. Like this is like a hardcore PvP trading game. The Farcade gets to be a little different because we have actual games. Like there isn't PvP. It's game versus game on the merits of being fun. It's like fun versus fun. Like what's worth my attention, and a fun game is worth your attention. And so I think we'll be in a very different situation, like some of these types of ecosystems, although we'll have similar features in the sense that we're monetizing, what I would say, I know fun's a big bucket, but we're like monetizing fun and entertainment versus trading, which is almost all these platforms are built on the backs of trading.
Yeah, definitely. And trading can be a fun game, but it's its own thing.
It's super fun. I think it's incredibly addictive. That statement is not to disparage trading. Like I think trading is an incredibly intoxicating thing. And it's very fun, but it's like it's not everybody's game. It's not everybody's vice. It's not like a lot of people don't love the stakes. They don't love that much like financial incentives built into like entertainment. But it is for a lot of people, and it's so yeah. That's much more a statement on we view ourselves as a gaming platform, not a trading platform.
It makes a lot of sense. And now, as a developer, I have one more question about the whole ticketing system and stuff. If I'm a creator, my concern is if I only give people three chances, that they try those three chances, they leave and they never come back. So, I guess like, what advice do you have for people creating those moments of scarcity to experience your game? And then, like, how do you make sure that those people don't leave forever? You know, since they had their three tries, they left. How do you keep them coming back and stuff like that?
It's a great question. I think that's when you have to tap into like you have to tap into like other network effects, like when whether it's like we do have these really interesting notifications and call to actions, social sharing. There's other types of games you can play that don't always require tickets that can keep people interested, like challenges and wagering. So like I just I don't believe that if you came and played my game 3 times and had fun, you're not gonna come back. I don't believe that. I don't believe that's how we think. I don't believe that's like entertainment. Like if you had fun, granted like the conversation like what you said, maybe the 3 is a little bit too short. Maybe like 20 seconds was a little too short and like that needs to be fine-tuned. Maybe we need to fine-tune a little bit towards like game time and some of that stuff. Like it's kind of like that like 15 minutes almost feels like the perfect amount of time like when you first start experiencing an app. Like a lot of times you just like want a taste of like what's happening. So yeah, so like I really want to keep building this system that rewards you for not only does it feel like there's two things about it. Like it feels good to play the game because you know you have limited plays. Like it raises the stakes a little bit. And um I just heard this story today, but a really, really famous game dev, when he interviews people, one of the interview questions he asks is, why are carnival games fun? And the answer is never that the game is fun, but because you paid to play, it was fun. There was a cost to you trying to win. And that's really what the ticket is meant to represent is like, there's a, you had a scarce thing that makes this game more elevated experience for you. Like it's these games are just more fun when you don't get to play them forever. And so I think that's the core loops. We'll want to work with game devs. We'll want to work with studios. We can always do things like paid free turns where like the game studio subsidizes a free ticket and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of things we want to explore, and I'm sure this is going to be a lot of fine tuning and a lot of refinement. So, but it's yeah, I think it's like infinitely interesting and a lot of things that we want to explore.
Yeah, you made me think of a lot of cool things with analytics because if you're losing something, even though it's just a ticket, in order for you to participate here, the question is where do you feel it's worth spending this thing? And that communicates something about the types of games you like, the psychology behind your decision, stuff like that. So it'll be fascinating to see what analytics come out of this.
Yeah, I'm very yeah, I'm excited to see what happens too. I have like pretty good hunches and we have some pretty compelling early data, but we'll see. Things change quickly.
Cool, cool. Now, we touched on like decentralization, carrying over your social graphs. Are there any other on-chain aspects that improve gaming that you're doing in Farcade or even just Farworld for people who aren't really familiar with blockchain gaming, on-chain data, things like that?
Yeah, so Farworld is very on chain. All the creatures are on chain, the battling's on chain, the rewards are on chain. So like that's a very on chain game. And that's something that's like again, that's our creature collection game, and that's something that's going to continue to even go more on chain. That might be like an entirely on chain game here very soon with no servers, no nothing, just a wallet and assets. Um, which is exciting. And I think that's the future for a lot of games. I think there's a lot of games, especially when you talk about like money games. I think every money game should be 100% on chain. Like I just think it's better because and an aspect I'll talk about there, which I think is relevant, is when you talk about like money games and skill games. This was a huge problem with poker. It turned out the guys who are building I don't want to say which one it was because I can't remember, so I don't want to like disparage someone who didn't do this. But one of the big poker sites, some of the lead engineers, basically they would go into poker games and they could see everybody's hand at the table, and then they just would give people great hands. They would get a royal flush and they would wipe everybody. And they did this for years, and they're small enough and it was a big enough site that no one really cared. But with these like money games, on chain allows you to do very interesting things. You can do cryptographically verifiable outcomes. You can prove that no one can see each other's hands. You can prove that the hand wasn't manipulated mid turn to give people different hands, like in a poker example. You can prove that the odds are real. They didn't rig the system. Where I feel like I see this game on TikTok every day where people are doing like a chicken has to like cross the road and they make a bunch of money. Like you could prove that that number was done before you played the game, and it's not like waiting for you to get high and then killing you. So there's like a lot of stuff like that I think is only possible on chain. It's the only way you could get like publicly provable and verifiable data that you weren't just screwed by the game. And so I think that's where like on chain gets really exciting. And then I think there's the other, so that's like where you get start dealing with like money, financials, and incentives. There's this other side, which is just what I think feels very good, which is just putting a lot more of your reputation, your history, your gaming experience on chain. I mean, there's so many things that I did as a gamer over the course of my career that I wish were on chain. You know, there's times where I got super high on leaderboards or I claimed these achievements that nobody's done. And like people just have to take my word for it that I did it. But it'd be really cool if I had like an NFT to prove that like I was a gladiator in World of Warcraft, or that like I was like a top 10 player in PUBG or something. But like I have no proof. It doesn't exist. I don't even know if it exists on their servers. So I think there's stuff like that on chain makes very exciting. Is like publicly provable data that then people can build on top of. Like something that would be really fun for me as a builder would be like, I want to give a token airdrop to all the best players of Tower Blocks and Black Hole, because those guys are going to really like my game that I'm building. And if all that stuff is on chain, it's way easier than like having to work with our APIs. You have to like trust our data versus like I can just look at this person's wallet and he's get proven that he's like on the leaderboard. So I think that's the stuff that's really exciting. That's the stuff that we're really motivated at building. And then I think the last thing is like just decentralized ownership of the network. Like we really want stuff to be on chain because we really want it to be a community owned platform at the very end of it.
I definitely agree with the provable data point. It's so powerful that a lot of people don't realize because they're not kind of in the weeds.
Yeah.
And I have this vision of like even physical locations in the future, like if it's a digital poker machine at a casino, it will probably have a QR code so that you can verify the number generation at some point into the future, where you can't do that now. In a casino, you can get robbed and there's no way of proving that the algorithm's like flawed, or like completely against you.
Yeah. And you are getting robbed because they literally do that and they get caught doing that all the time. Like it's just, then there's no way to prove it.
Yeah, and I've seen what you're talking about with poker too. There was some company that allowed premium players to purchase God's Hand, which allows you to see everyone else's cards at the table while you're betting money against them, which is completely absurd. But unless you're giving that access, you have no idea this is even happening. Versus fully on-chain game where you can see all the data live and verify it yourself.
Yeah, I think that stuff is super important, and I think like if you're gambling and you're doing gambling sites or money games, like it feels, I feel like it's gonna be like a huge swing into like how users perceive it, and they'll demand that, and they won't even play sites that don't have it. And this is like, and it's a huge area for like ZK technology, like zero knowledge proofs is gonna be really cool. God's Hand is called insider trading in Web3. Pretty good. Yeah, so that's those are the things that I think are like the biggest things that I'm most excited about, some of the biggest value adds, and something that we want to bring with Farcade and Farworld.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely excited about that too, especially having those achievements recorded so that other companies could give me an airdrop for like something I did 10 years ago or something like that, right? So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's just like, that's like a fun part about this. It's like you never know why that data will be valuable later. And I just got an airdrop today for like a couple $1,000s because I participated in a couple things, a few few months ago. Like it's just like, hey, you were a part of these cohorts and did this thing. You're like a reputable person to get this airdrop, and it's like that's insane. Like, but it's really cool, and that's what makes me very excited about all this because I do think when it comes to like marketing, distribution, discovery, it's something that like I really want game studios to be able to tap into, which is like reward the people who have done these things or have built these things, and when it's on chain, it's just way better and way easier.
While you were saying that, I was also thinking about like all these ways for you to like take advantage of that data and stuff. I feel like there will be like a Willy Wonka moment where some guy is going to retire and they're like, "Hey, all you people played my game. There's a golden ticket here. You'll own the company once I like pass or something like that."
That would be sick. Yeah, that's like. Did you ever read Ready Player One? That's kind of what I was thinking. Like the golden Easter egg to control the Oasis. Like, yeah, the Farcade golden egg. There it is. You have to have claimed every achievement ever.
Yeah, so watch out. So now, you mentioned a few different tools and stuff that you're going to make available. Some cool mechanics that are being introduced to Farcade. So, what advice do you offer to developers and creators who want to build and distribute in social apps?
um, Ship fast, build quickly, don't overthink it. Like the worst thing you can do as a developer is overthink it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Doesn't matter. Like I think the most important thing you can do with these social apps, and this is a really good advice that I've heard from some other people, is in that first user experience or whatever you're doing, give that person a very strong incentive to share it with their friends. And I think those are like the two big things for us is ship and build as fast as you possibly can. Don't overthink it. Shipping is rewarded more than planning, and build incentives to share.
That's awesome. I definitely feel like that's great general advice. That's definitely a personal problem where like I feel things need to be perfect before I deploy it, and next thing
Yeah.
I know, it's 2 years later, and I'm never deploying it because I decided it's not worth it anymore.
it's it's nearly impossible to do. Like you almost always hate what you've built by the end of the day. You're like, it sucks. There's so many flaws. But I'll tell you, like from personal experience, almost every time I've done that, I've been rewarded. Like every time I've tried to plan and make it perfect, I've been punished. Um, it's like it's almost without fail. Like even the black hole game we just launched in the Farcade, I almost didn't launch it. I was like, this isn't good enough. People are gonna hit like I was like, people are gonna like be like, oh, it's the first bad game. I literally like was thought we shouldn't launch it. Like I thought it was too bad. And people loved it. Like people still love it. It's like our most played game in the last couple days. And uh people really, really like it. And so it just shows you that like it's really, really hard to know if what you're building is great. And the best way to do it is just put it out there. Cause you just yeah, you just can't it's so hard to predict how these things go. So just build, ship, get it out there. Don't overthink it.
Awesome. Thank you for that advice. I definitely need it. So I'm sure there's plenty of others watching this that need it as well.
Just ship, man. You'll be rewarded.
Nice. So, what are you in particular most excited about for the future of Arcade? Whether it's one feature, some sort of experience that you're looking forward to, what makes you most excited?
I mean, it's so funny because if you knew me before the Farcade, you would know how much I embellish on like my own things that I build. Like I'm like you, where like when you're an engineer and you build these things, you know how the sausage is made. Like you almost always hate what you've built. You always know its flaws. You always know why it sucks. And like it's so hard for me to like I almost felt like a used car salesman whenever I try to get excited by my old stuff. I'd be like, people can tell like I'm just like boasting or like it felt like gross to me in a lot of ways because like I was so aware of my shortcomings. The Farcade has almost been the exact opposite. I could not be more excited about where this is going because it is just so clear to me that this is where the future is headed. Whether it's the Farcade or someone else, like this is how games are going to be built. This is how people are going to distribute games. This is how people are going to participate in them. And it just is really coming down to executing. And so I'm super excited to start opening up the AI studio and opening up the monetization. Like I think, like I said, I truly believe the Farcade will make the top game studios millions of dollars. I'm hoping that we have like our own Zynga moment that like literally one of the biggest game studios in the world comes out from being a Farcade game. Similar to Facebook. Like I believe that's the opportunity. I believe that's like what we're building for. And like, yeah, so I just like there's an endless list of things I'm excited about. And it's been truly like a highlight. This last year's been just the best year of my career from just like a fun and enjoyment standpoint, building Farworld and the Farcade. I kind of wish they didn't overlap as much as they do because I love building both of them so much.
Yeah, it's really awesome to hear. I'm definitely excited about a lot of your tools, just from the developer's perspective.
Yeah.
Seeing how this grows, you've already had amazing traction. I see it online all the time. People interacting with you, you publishing games, play testing those games in public. So it's been awesome to watch your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a wild journey, but it's yeah, I feel very grateful, feel very lucky, and thank you so much for, I endlessly appreciative of people who support us and play the games. Like, it's everything you wish and hope for when you're building a game is just to find a cohort of users that love what you do. And so I really appreciate that. And I don't know if Raman's still in chat, but I appreciate him too. He's always always playing and chatting and engaging, and that means a lot when you're first building a company. Is you really want to find those cohort of users that are big believers in what you're doing, and so it means the world to me, my brother, and my team.
Yeah, it's super interesting because, even like 2 or 3 months ago, I wasn't thinking about any of these games directly in chat apps. But even from when we were in Bangkok, I've seen other studios doing this in line in WeChat, and it's kind of a thing overseas, but it's fairly new concept. I want to say to us living in the US or even the kind of this side of the globe. And we're starting to see it more and more, and you're definitely ahead of the game. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. We definitely want to be a leader, and that's a lot of what's got us to launch sooner than we thought we would. We originally weren't going to launch until this week, and thank God we didn't. I think we're in a very different position, and the trajectory of the company is in a very different spot because we just launched, and so we're very excited. We want to be known as the leader of this category, and that's what we're going to do.
Definitely, no doubt about it. So now we're reaching the end of our talk. So how can the audience stay up to date with you? And do you have any last messages for our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to stay up to date is following my Twitter. I or sorry, my X. I post and repost all the stuff from the Farcade. The Farcade AI is also a great way to stay up. And then if you're on Warpcast, we share a lot of the same messages across both. So following us on X is the best way to stay in touch, and that's where we announce most of our stuff first.
Awesome. We'll be sharing the links to Farcade, to your social profiles after
Perfect.
the talk. Great. Well, I want to thank you for coming and talking to us, sharing your insights about chat apps and how games are being built into it. What does this mean for both the players and for the developers? And for anyone who's looking to create a chat app, well, not only a chat app, but games within chat apps, look into Farcade because soon there'll be tools available for you to test out.
The main question is where are more tickets? Just message me on Warpcast. I'll tip you some.
Yeah, so message Charlie for more tickets too if you run
Yeah,
out.
yeah. DM me more tickets. I'll start giving you some.
All right. Well, thanks for joining the chat, and I hope you have a great day, Charlie. I'll
Yeah,
see you
thanks,
online.
man. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. Bye. So there you had it. That was our chat with Charlie from Farcade. They're building amazing tools, from AI tools to ways for you to own parts of games. So stay up to date with Farcade. I'll be posting the links to all of their resources after this. And next week we'll be hosting an art jam with a few creators using ChainSafe's tools. So if you're an artist, you want to learn about NFTs, about getting your art into video games, and how to join within our community and getting into the gaming space, follow our Discord, hop into our Discord, follow our channels, and engage with us because we'll have more news shortly. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in to watch this, and I hope you all have a great day. See you on the next one. Bye.